Today I'm going to discuss the most important chapter is Old English period part 2. As I have discussed with you in my previous part, lots of important questions with you which have been repeated in your exams again and again. So now I'm discussing next questions Old English period part 2. Who were the Henry the Fowler and his spouse Matilda? The Saxons were members of the German population who entered and conquered England in the early medieval era. They later merged with the Angles and Jutes and forming the Anglo-Saxon peoples and settled in the modern-day Germany. So, who were Henry the Fowler, Henry the Fowler and his spouse Matilda, and his spouse Matilda. The Saxons were members of the Germanic populations who entered and conquered England in the early medieval era. They later merged with the Angles and Jutes, forming the Anglo-Saxon people and settled in the modern-day Germany. So next, if the Gentleman hymen was recorded by the Venerable Bede in Latin, then why is it referred to be as earliest recorded poem in the Old English? In Caldeman hymen was recorded by the Venerable Bede in Latin, then why is it is referred to as an earliest recorded poem in Old English? Old English. So the answer is Old English, also called the Anglo-Saxon. Anglo-Saxon is the oldest variant of the English language. It was spoken in England between the 5th century AD until circa 1066 and 1066, and it was replaced by the Middle English. So the answer is Old English is also called the Anglo-Saxon, and it is the oldest variant of the English language. It was spoken in England between the 15th century AD until the circa 1066, and it was replaced by the Middle English. Now the next question is Beowulf the only Anglo-Saxon poem? Anglo-Saxon poem is the oldest variant of the English language, and it is also known as Old English. Anglo-Saxon survived until the Norman conquest of the 1066, after which is evolved into the Middle English. Is Beowulf the only Anglo-Saxon poem? Anglo-Saxon is the oldest variant of the English language, and it is also known as the Old English. Anglo-Saxon survived until the Norman conquest of the 1066, and after which is evolved into the Middle English. Explain the meaning of Anglo-Saxon accounting. Why should a nation oppose a nation option for this over their local accounting standard? Accounting means or refer to the habit of recording and keeping track of all incoming and outgoing monetary transaction and any estimates, provision, or any other event relating or which is connected with the business. Why should a nation option for this over their local accounting standard? Accounting means or refer to the habit of the recording and keeping track of all incoming or outgoing monetary transactions and any estimates, provisions, or any other event related or which is connected with the business. Describe the history development of Anglo-Saxon literature. Old English, which is preceded Middle English and Modern English, was the standardized language spoken in England by the Anglo-Saxons from the approximately the 5th century CE and 1066 CE, 1066 market the year of the Norman invention of the England and the temporary replacement of English by the dialect of French. Describe the history development of the Anglo-Saxon literature. Old English, which is preceded Middle English and Modern English, was the standardized language spoken in the England by the Anglo-Saxon from approximately the 5th century CE to 1066 and 1066 market the year of the Norman invasion of England and the temporary replacement of English by the dialect of French. Why did the uh, Cædmon compose his verses in Latin? Cædmon was an English poet and monk. He lived during the 7th century AD. Cædmon Hymen is the oldest poem written in the English language that has a clearly identified author. Cædmon was an English poet and monk, and he lived during the 7th century AD. And Cædmon Hymen is the oldest poem written in the English language that has a clearly identified author. What is the Cædmon Hymen? English is a West Germanic language and it is divided into three historical stages: Old English, Middle English, and Modern English. And Old English is also called the Anglo-Saxon. It was spoken between the 15th and 11th century. Why is the Southern Hook important? Southern Hook is located in the Suffolk and in the southeastern part of the United Kingdom. It belonged to the added British and who requested the assistance of the Basil Brown to work on it. Why is the Southern Hook important? Southern Hook is located in the Suffolk and in the southeastern part of the United Kingdom, and it belonging to the antique British who requested the assistance of the Basil Brown to work on it. Why has so little Anglo-Saxon poetry survived? The Anglo-Saxon period in British history generally considered to be from the mid-15th century to the Norman conquest of the 1066, and probably the most well-known example of this poetry is the epic poem Beowulf. Why has so little Anglo-Saxon poetry survived? The Anglo-Saxon period in the British history generally considered to be from the mid-15th century up to the Norman conquest of the 1066. Probably the most well-known example of this poetry is the epic poem Beowulf. Who was a Saxon in English? Who are the Saxon in the King Arthur? Perhaps the most famous English language myth is that of King Arthur. He lived in the Darkest Age in the immediate aftermath of the Roman Empire collapse. Who are the Saxon in the King Arthur? Perhaps the most famous English language myth is that of King Arthur. He lived in the Dark Age in the immediate aftermath of the Roman Empire collapse. So, I hope you like this video, which is very important according to examination point of views. In this video, I have discussed various Old English period part 2 and lots of important facts which have really influenced great literary work of the English literature. Thank you so much.